Hey guys, what's going on? It is Wednesday, and if it is Wednesday, it is time for Story Time with Taffy, episode number 26. A whole lot of things happening this week for the channel that are really cool, and they all kind of came right at once. A couple of days ago, I got my first animated still from James Bowman. He's doing a comedic PSA that I wrote for the channel. It's just taking an incredibly long time. The one still that I got, he did in Flash, and it apparently took him about 4 hours to do that much work. Still, it's encouraging, and I'm really happy to see some finished product coming out of it. It gives me hope for light at the end of the tunnel. After that, I got into a Skype conversation with Evan Eckerd, who has produced a really cool mock-up of our webpage, MrWiffles.com, and we stayed up until the wee hours of the morning talking about the possibilities and potential and things he may or may not be able to do for us to make that a functional HQ for the PA Army. And then, of course, the 500-pound gorilla in the room on Sunday. Rob and I fly down to Los Angeles to the Respawn offices. We are going to take our first batch of super limited shirts that we had made with Evan's passive aggression logo on them. We only had 150 printed off. We have 22,000 subscribers, so obviously not very many people are going to get this batch. Speaking of Respawn, I'm working on it, but I think next week's Storytime might go up there. It'll still go up on a Wednesday, so when it is Wednesday, it will still be Storytime with Taffy. It will just be in a different place, and I'll probably put an announcement video up here to send you over there if and when it does go up on Respawn. Confusing, I know, but rest assured you will have a Storytime next week, and it will have to do with LA. It will have to do with the first time I went there when I was 18, but it is not the subject of this story time. No. The subject of this story time is Jennifer. K-Mac is new, and he wants to know if we've ever talked about ex-girlfriends, and frankly, I can't remember, but I know I haven't told this story. The story about the cray-cray breakup with Jennifer, we're going to call her. To tell this story, I have to tell a little bit of backstory to set it up, because it was just sort of a bizarre situation to begin with. I will not go into the specific details on how we met, but trust your Uncle Taffy when he says it is never a good idea to permanently date somebody that you meet in group sex. This girl and I have been dating for around a year, and I knew things were rocky. I was living in the dorms. We had mutual friends who lived in an apartment off campus, and we were going over there for a barbecue. I picked up her friend, not mine, her friend, who we'll call Kay. Kay gets into my car. We're driving to this place, and she just kind of blurts out from the middle of nowhere. She doesn't call her my friend. She says, "I really hope your girlfriend is not there tonight." I said, "Kay, am I really a horrible person for hoping the exact same thing? I really hope that my girlfriend is not there." Sadly, Jennifer showed up, and this was kind of the weird, bizarre unraveling that led to the beginning of the end. These mutual friends who had this apartment, who eventually became my friends. Once Jennifer and I broke up, I kept the friends. She had 3 guy friends who lived in an apartment together, and they threw ritualistic family meals once every month or so and invited everyone in to eat. And eventually I moved in with them. They became some of my best friends. But for the time, these were technically her friends. I went over there to this big rib fest that they were having. They were having ribs and mashed potatoes and green beans and all sorts of alcohol. And it's just a big family to do. It wasn't a party. It was a gigantic dinner party held by bachelors who just knew how to cook, and none of them were gay. So it was weird, but it was awesome. I went in and got my food first, and I grabbed a plate full of food, and I went outside and I sat on the back porch because at the time, Taffy smoked. So Taffy wanted to be able to eat and then smoke a cigarette without getting up out of the particular chair he was in. Because I sat first, I thought I'd set up the geographic region that we would just kind of call our home base for the night, and that Jennifer would just migrate over to me, but she rounds the corner and goes into the living room and stays in there, which is fine by me because frankly, I don't want to see her. I'm tired of her face. About 90 minutes later, Kay comes up to me and says, your girlfriend left and she's really pissed at you. And I said, I haven't spoken to her for over an hour and a half. How can I have done something wrong? And she said, well, you were supposed to go in and hang out with her during dinner. And I said, once again, I have not spoken to her, so how was I supposed to know she was pissed I was not in there with her? I don't know, but she just drove off and said to tell you that she's pissed at you. Alright, fine, couples getting spats all the time. I actually took a couple days and have totally avoided her because I felt like it was probably the beginning of the end, but at the same time, I wanted there to be a cooling off period. I didn't want to act out of any sort of rash impulse. Then lo and behold, about 4 days later, I go to my dorm room and see her standing in front of my door writing something on my whiteboard, and she stops and she looks as though she's been out clubbing. She's got the sort of black under 21 stamps on her hands, and she looks sweaty and disheveled, and she goes, oh, hi, I thought you weren't in, so I was just going to leave a message on the whiteboard. Have you seen Kay? And I said, no, I haven't. It's important to tell this part of the story. I had friends that were in a band, and they were in this band that opened for Saliva when they came through to play in Boise, and I was really excited because these high school buddies of mine were going to be opening for a real legit big time band, and I wanted tickets. Now the only way to get tickets to this show was to win it through a local radio station, so I had reached out to all my college friends in Boise and said, this band from Jerome, Idaho is going to open for a major band in a concert venue, and if anybody could help me win tickets, that would be great because I really want to go see them and support them. So I had been looking for about a week and a half, and that night I'd totally forgotten was the night of the show because I'd had no luck whatsoever getting tickets. Now, since Jennifer and I hadn't spoken for about 4 days, it all starts to sort of come together, but I can't make myself believe that this is what's going on. So I said, well, what are you here for? What do you need? She says, if you've seen Kay, let her know I'm looking for. I totally got tickets to that show tonight where your friend's band was playing, and I took a friend from work because we weren't talking and had an amazing time. It was such a great show, and I was going to tell her about it, and I was wondering if maybe she was with you, but I can see that she's not, so I'll just go ahead and leave. And I said, you know what? You and I need to have a serious talk. So I walked her out of Chafee Hall and into the center of campus because I thought, even though it was kind of like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, that maybe if I got her out into public, when I told her that we had broken up, she would make a smaller spectacle of herself, and I was not correct. So I broke the news and said, listen, I really don't think this is going to work out, and that's sad, but it's what it is. Many fish in the sea. It's not me, it's you. And before I can say or do anything, she has doubled over and fallen to the ground and is scream crying in the fetal position in the middle of Boise State's campus at 11 o'clock at night. It's bad enough that I'm really convinced that I'm gonna have to tell campus security that I haven't hit her because it looks as though I have haymakered her in the stomach. And so now I'm not really concerned about her mental well-being so much as I'm concerned about not going to jail for shit I didn't do. So I pick her up and I'm thinking that I gotta get her inside. I gotta get her away from the public's eye. So I'm kind of dragging her back through the campus. And at this point, she starts saying random crazy shit. Like, if we were on top of that building, I would push you the fuck off. If we were near that street, I would shove you into traffic. And this is where it gets actually surreal, because we walk in front of the campus and there on a trash can about 20 feet away is a squirrel. A squirrel she had seen about 12 hours earlier and commented on how cute and fuzzy he was. And as she's sobbing, she looks up and she sees this squirrel and says, oh my god, it's the squirrel. He'll be my friend. And I fucking lose it. I start laughing my dick off because that is fucking funny. And I know that at this point in time I'm supposed to be supportive and understanding, but that shit is crazy and I can't wrap my head around it. But before I can really get out a good chuckle, she balls her fist and spins and stops her fist like an inch from my nose. And as I flinch because this crazy bitch is about to punch me in the face, she stops and says, Ryan, I won't hit you. I would never hurt you. That's not what people who love each other do. And at this point, she starts to walk towards the dorm like she's going to get back in my room. And I kind of planned on it just so I could get her inside so she'd stop freaking out where people could see her. But now I'm terrified. So right as she reaches the door, I kind of spin her and I say, no, I don't think so. You need to get in your car. And if you got to cry it out there, you got to cry it out there. But I think you need to go home. At this point, there are protests and tears and sobs and cries. And I'm just kind of shoving her, like, not like hard, but I mean, like, I'm not letting her double back. And the moment that I feel like there's a big enough gap, I kind of bolt for the door. And I get to the door because at this point, this late at night, it locks behind me. So I was just like, run, door lock. Yeah, okay, sorry, many fish in the sea. And I ran upstairs. And you would think after that happened that I never hooked up with her again. And you would think wrong because I'm mentally ill. It took 3 breakups to finally make that stick. And then at one point where she and I just had a physical thing because I was determined to have an ex-girlfriend pour gasoline on me and light me on fire while I sleep, and she seemed like the most viable candidate for that. She called me one night and said, why don't you come over, I'll fix you dinner. And I said, you know, I don't think I should come over because this is getting entirely too comfortable. And she says, I have really awful news and I need to share it with you and I need you to come over, so just be here tonight. And now my mind is racing. My mind is racing like, this crazy bitch went down and got AIDS on purpose and is now giving it to me, or I don't know if this is even worse, but now she's pregnant with our half beautiful, intelligent, half cray-cray bitch love child. So I go and I sit and she starts to like spoon me up dinner, and I'm afraid to eat it because I'm afraid that she's about to sacrifice me to her pagan gods, when I finally just burst out and I say, what is this awful news you could possibly have? I don't want to sit and eat dinner. Let's just talk about it and tell me what the hell is wrong. And she said, well, I wanted to have you here and I'm glad you're sitting down. I'm moving to a different time zone. And she threw out, well, we'll say Seattle. It's not where she moved, but whatever. I'm moving to Seattle. And the first words out of my mouth and one of the last conversations I had with her, because she still tried to get me on like instant messenger after she moved moved to Seattle. But the first words out of my mouth were, "Is the big problem that you need me to help you pack?" I didn't stay for dinner. I don't know that I was really welcome to stay for dinner. I don't know. Jennifer was a boomerang, man. The harder you threw her, the faster she came back. I did not handle things well with her, but in my defense, she was insane a lot. So, K-Man 20011, you may be new here, but we got some crazy exes. So that is my gift to you. Relatively short story time this week. I'm about to record another story time, the one for Respawn, because I won't have time, I think, to record this in LA. As always, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Leave your suggestions down in the comment section below. Last week's were phenomenal. I actually had about a half dozen stories from which to choose, but I just decided that I told a whole lot of anecdotal and family stories, and it's just been a really long time since I told me a good crazy bitch story, and that's what we went with, and I look forward to seeing what you'll come up with next time. Yeah, there are still stories. I'm excited. I know everyone got really glum because they were just like, oh no, story time's gonna end, but story time's not gonna end for like 3 more months. I got like at least 15 more segments to do, and who knows, maybe it won't just end. I'll just dribble them out wherever the hell I can fit that into the scenario. But as always, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Tune in next time, next Wednesday. And on behalf of the Mr. Wuffles channel, this is Taffy, and I am out.